There's a saying in MMOs, loot doesn't change people, it just shows who they really are. Back in the day, we called them ninja looters, the ones who rolled need on everything, snatched rare drops out of your corpse pile, or vanished into the night with the guild bank after promising to borrow it for crafting mats. They were the pirates of the virtual age, hated, hunted, and somehow admired. Because deep down, every MMO player knows the truth. No matter how noble we pretend to be, greed is baked into the experience, and every now and then someone stops pretending. Hey, welcome to MMO Madness Behind the Troll Mask. I'm your host, Boss Mode, and today we're going back to the roots. The era when loot just wasn't treasure, it was identity. Your armor told your story. Your mount was your resume. That one purple drop in Molten Core, that was your soul on display. But for every hero who earned their loot the hard way, there was always that guy. You know the type. Shows up for one raid, forgets to buff, dies in phase 2, and still has the audacity to hit need on legendary weapons. Then they log out, change servers, disappear into the digital night. Welcome to the return of the Ninja Looter. We're talking about the golden age of MMO theft, the psychology behind greed, and why even in 2025 the Ninja Looter never really died. They just got smarter. Before we talk about the modern thieves, we need to rewind to the age of innocence, or depending on how you see it, the age of opportunity. The year was 1999. EverQuest ruled the lands. Corpses held your loot when you died, which meant if you weren't fast enough, someone else might get there first. Players learned quickly that finders keepers wasn't just a playground rule, it was server policy. There's a story that still floats around the old EverQuest forums. The legend of Zarn the Swift, a ranger on the Tunair server. Zarn was known for two things, impeccable timing and zero conscience. One fateful night, a high-end raid group downed a rare dragon. As the loot hit the ground, Zarn swooped in from stealth, looted the cloak of flames, and vanished. No one saw him for weeks. When he finally reappeared, he was wearing the cloak in public, dancing in Freeport with fireworks and a macro that said, "Finders, Keepers." The guild that killed the dragon disbanded shortly after. Zarn became infamous, banned 3 times, and adored by trolls and hated by everyone else. That was the first documented case of MMO looting as performance art. Hey, you have to hand it to those early thieves. They had guts. There were no loot rules, no binding agreements, no master looter toggles. If the drop hit the ground, it was fair game. Fast forward to RuneScape. Circa 2002, the game was blooming, the graphics were questionable, and the scams were legendary. Enter Sir Bordy, a player who figured out that generosity could be the perfect disguise for greed. He hosted free drop parties. Those events where you'd fill a house with items and open it to the public. Everyone showed up expecting a jackpot. But here's the twist. While the crowd scrambled for loot, Sir Bordy used lag spikes to trade cancel and snatch the most valuable items before anyone realized. He pulled it off dozens of times, made millions in gold, until one day he got greedy. He tried to host a drop party inside another player's house, and that player locked the door. The crowd turned on him. Screenshots flooded the forums. The headline read, "Bordy busted. Scammer gets scammed." It was poetic justice. MMO karma at its finest. That's the thing about the golden age of ninja looting. It wasn't just about greed. It was about theater. These players weren't stealing pixels. They were performing. They wanted to be seen. Every MMO had one. The rogue who looted the guild chest, the warrior who ninja'd the epic mount, the cleric who rage quit mid-raid and vendored everything out of spite. And no matter how angry people got, deep down we kind of respected it. Because in a world where everything was predictable, spawn timers, raid rotations, crafting mat, the ninja looter was chaos incarnate. In World of Warcraft, the term became official. The ninja looter was born. Guilds started keeping blacklists. Forums became public courts of MMO justice. You could get banned from an entire server just for rolling need on something you couldn't equip. Players took screenshots, built dossiers, and posted exposés with titles like, "Beware the rogue who stole our Tier 2 set." It was brutal, it was petty, it was perfect. There's one story that still gives me flashbacks. A guild named Divine Chaos cleared Molten Core after 8 weeks of prep and 3 nights of attempts. It all led to one legendary drop, Perdition's Blade. The raid leader, Jaylin, ran the loot system. It was trusted and level-headed. Until that night, when the dagger dropped, everyone rolled. Then the loot window closed and Jaylin disconnected. Minutes later, the guild's Discord erupted. "He took it! He logged off! Kick him!" The next day, screenshots surfaced. Jaylin had transferred servers. He renamed his character the Silent Justice and started streaming. His first stream title read, "Was it really stealing if I earned it?" The comments were chaos. Half the chat called him a legend, the other half called for blood. That's when it hit me. In MMOs, morality is flexible. Everyone hates a thief until they pull it off themselves. That golden age of theft wasn't about items, it was about power. The power to shock, to provoke, and to make thousands of players feel something. Whether you loved or hated the ninja looter, you remembered them. They were the villains that made our worlds feel alive. And like all good villains, they evolved. If old school ninja looters were pirates, today's thieves are accountants. They don't snatch loot out of your corpse anymore. They manipulate systems, bend rules, and exploit fine print. We like to think of the modern MMO world has outgrown the chaos. Loot rules are automated now. Gear is locked classes. Log tracks everything. But the truth is that new generation of thieves have adapted. They don't need to stealth anymore. They have spreadsheets. In Black Desert Online, gear is power and silver is life. The marketplace runs on bids, meaning every player gets a chance to fight for rare items. Enter Clint, a player who figured out how to game the auction system. He tracked the timestamps of popular listings and used a macro to auto-bid within milliseconds of posting. For months, people thought it was luck. Then they started noticing patterns. Same player, same timing, same snug message and chat. It's not ninja looting if you're faster. Eventually, Clint was exposed when a guildmate leaked his macro code. He was banned for automation abuse, but his legend stuck. He wasn't a thief in the classic sense. He didn't steal anyone's drop. He just made the system his accomplice. And that's the theme of the modern MMO thief. They hide behind the rules, not outside them. The new ninja looter doesn't yell, "Finders, keepers." They say, "Read the fine print." They're the raid leader who uses loot council to funnel gear to their friends. The guild officer who accidentally rolls need on everything, then blames lag. The marketplace player who cornered the economy and called it good business. They don't see themselves as villains. They see themselves as visionaries. In Final Fantasy XIV, one free company decided to try a merit-based loot system. Players earned points for attendance, performance, and attitude. It worked beautifully for a few months, then the cracks appeared. Turns out the guild leader's best friend, Rock, always got the rarest items. When someone questioned it, the leader said, "He's just consistent." Eventually, one of the officers leaked screenshots showing private messages where Rock was promised every drop in exchange for crafting materials. Half the guild quit overnight. The other half tried to defend it as strategic prioritization. That's the modern twist on ninja looting. It's not about reflexes, it's about rationalization. And it's not just confined to loot. The culture of quiet theft is everywhere. You see it in resource nodes, housing plots, and even roleplay servers. Players find loopholes, then act shocked when others call them out. It's like everyone in MMOs suddenly got a law degree and moral flexibility. In ESO, loot distribution is mostly fair, but there's always one guy who accidentally takes something rare. I once raided with a tank named Rennick. Nice guy, solid player. One night, we drop a gold quality jewelry piece worth millions. Everyone rolls, but Rennick wins automatically. He says, "Oops, didn't mean to hit need." No big deal, right? Except the item was bound on pickup. We waited for him to offer compensation. He didn't. Instead, he put it on his build and said, "Well, it's already equipped." For weeks, every dungeon we ran, he'd joke about it. "Remember that time I misclicked and got rich?" That was the breaking point for me. It wasn't the loot. It was the arrogance. He turned a mistake into a brand. That's the difference between an old school ninja and a modern one. The old ones hid in the shadows. The new ones glowed in the light. And yet, somehow, we keep playing with them. Why? Because every guild needs a villain. Every community thrives on a little drama. The ninja looter in the MMO world's anti-hero, a necessary evil who keeps things unpredictable. It's the same reason why people keep watching heist movies. You know they're breaking the rules, but you can't look away. If there's one game that turned ninja looting into a full-blown career path, it's EVE Online. There's a story about a player named Kira Knox, a logistics director for one of the biggest corporations in the game. She spent months building trust, managing billions in assets, and slowly gaining access to every hangar. Then one night she took it all. Hundreds of ships, rare blueprints, ISK worth tens of thousands in real-world value. She didn't hide. She wrote a blog post titled "The Art of the Exit." She described it as a social experiment, a test of loyalty versus greed. The article went viral. CCP, the game's developers, didn't punish her. They called it emergent gameplay. And that's how you know the ninja looter truly evolved. They didn't need stealth. They have PR. Modern MMOs reward confidence more than honesty. If you can frame your theft as strategy, half the community will cheer for you. Call it opportunistic. Call it playing smart. Call it leveraging systems. Anything but what it actually is. Stealing. But the line between clever and corrupt keeps getting thinner. Then there was the WoW retail streamer Drex. He led a raid with viewers, promising fair loot rolls on the stream. Thousands watched live. When a rare mount dropped, he hit need, he won it, and said, "Streamer privilege." People thought it was a joke. Then he logged off. Clips exploded across Reddit. Hashtags like "streamer loot" trended for days. Blizzard didn't intervene. He came back a week later with a merch line that said, "Streamer privilege. You would have done it too." He was right. A lot of players admitted they might have done the same thing. That's how normalized this has become. We've memed morality into a punchline. Every generation of MMO players swears they're better than the last, but greed always respawns. You can update the systems, patch the exploits, and add automated loot protection. It doesn't matter. Someone will always find a way to cheat without technically cheating. The modern ninja looter doesn't just take your gear, they take your trust, and they make you laugh about it afterwards. We've all been there. The loot window pops up and everyone holds their breath. The drop is rare, the odds are low, and the stakes are high. What happens next reveals more about human nature than any psychology textbook ever could. Let's read a few grief and redemption stories that came straight from our listeners. Some are tragic, some are hilarious, some might even sound a little too familiar. This one was submitted by Rindle. Rindle joined a mid-tier raiding guild during Wrath of the Lich King. For months he farmed mats, crafted potions, and helped recruit new players. The guild trusted him enough to make him an officer. One night, while the guild master was offline, Rindle opened the guild bank. He withdrew everything. Gold, materials, BOEs, even vanity pets. Then he transferred servers. For years he carried that weight. He said it wasn't about greed, it was about attention. Nobody ever thanked him for his work, but everyone noticed when he robbed them blind. 5 years later, he rejoined WoW under a new character. He tracked down one of his old guildmates, confessed, and offered to repay the gold. The guildmate declined. They told him something that stuck with me. You don't pay back betrayal with currency. You pay it back with consistency. Rindle now runs a small social guild where every player has shared access to the bank. He says he keeps it open as a reminder. This one was submitted by Juna. Juna played Final Fantasy XIV for years as a healer. She hated loot drama, so she started passing on every rare item to avoid conflict. But one night, her raid group insisted she roll on a top-tier healer staff. She clicked need, and immediately after winning, her internet cut out. When she logged back in, she discovered the raid leader had accused her of ninja looting and kicked her from the group. Screenshots circulated across Discord. Her name was blacklisted. Juna said she stopped playing for months. Then one night she joined a casual group for a lower tier dungeon. Someone recognized her and joked, "Hey, don't you let Juna roll for anything." Instead of getting defensive, she laughed. She typed, "You're right. I've learned my lesson. I only loot compliments now." The tension broke. Everyone laughed. By the end of the night, they added her to friends. That's the thing about MMO redemption stories. They're not about erasing mistakes. They're about making new memories that outshine the old ones. This story was submitted by Sable. Sable played EVE Online for over a decade. She once infiltrated a rival corporation, slowly earning their trust until they promoted her to logistics manager. Her mission was simple: spy for her original alliance, but along the way she made friends with the people she was supposed to betray. When the day came to strike, she froze. She sent a message to both sides and confessed. Then she transferred all the stolen assets to Neutral Holding Corp and quit the game. Months later, she logged back in. Her old alliance had dissolved, but one of her former enemies sent her a message. "You were the only honest spy we've ever had." There's something strangely poetic about that. Even betrayal can earn respect when it's followed by honesty. Those stories remind us that the ninja looter archetype isn't just about greed, it's about recognition. It's about control in a world where everyone else feels powerless. And deep down, I think that's why stories stick with us. They're not just about theft, they're about the illusion of justice in a system that we never built to be fair. Every time developers try to fix the ninja looter problems, players find a new way to outsmart them. Master Looter was supposed to solve it, then came the Loot Council drama. Personal loot was supposed to end. Then players started manipulating runs for guaranteed drops. Developers keep patching the symptoms, but the real bug isn't the code, it's in us. When Blizzard introduced personal loot, it sounded foolproof. Everyone got their own items, no more rolling, no more drama. But the community found a loophole. Players would trade unwanted items to friends. Some raid leaders even demanded that everyone who got gear handed over to the leader needed it more. A system designed to protect players became another tool for exploitation. It wasn't ninja looting anymore, it was diplomacy through guilt. The same thing happened in Final Fantasy XIV. Duty Finder was supposed to keep runs fair and random. Instead, some players started queue dodging certain roles to force replacements they could manipulate. In Elder Scrolls Online, group finders removed manual trading altogether, and people still found a way to scam gold through fake guild lotteries. It's human nature to bend systems. Greed doesn't vanish with new mechanic, it just adapts to them. Last year, a player wrote an AI script that would track market prices and auto-snipe items under a certain threshold. It wasn't technically illegal, but it was morally questionable. When he got caught, he defended himself by saying, "I'm not cheating, I'm optimizing." That phrase stuck with me, optimizing. It's the perfect word for the modern MMO morality. We don't cheat, we optimize. We don't lie, we strategize. We don't steal, we simply take advantage of opportunity. And if the developers didn't stop us, then it must have been fair, right? The truth is, MMOs are digital reflections of real life. Wherever there's scarcity, there will always be competition. Wherever there's competition, there will be corruption. And maybe that's what keeps us coming back. The chaos, the unpredictability, the human messiness of it all. The ninja looter never really died. They just evolved with the times. In 2004, they were stealing swords from corpses. In 2025, they're exploiting systems, manipulating markets, and turning betrayal into content. They're the ghosts that haunt every MMO economy. The reminder that trust is a currency rarer than gold. And maybe that's why we need them, because every ninja looter, there are 10 honest players who suddenly remember why trust matters in the first place. Without villains, there are no heroes. Without greed, there is no generosity. The loot system doesn't just distribute gear, it reveals character. So, the next time you see someone roll need on something they don't deserve, take a deep breath. Because whether you're a griefer, a trickster, or just a player trying to feel powerful for once, they're a part of the same broken, brilliant ecosystem that keeps MMOs alive. We can patch exploits and banned accounts, but we can't code morality. That's the part of each of us has to bring to the game. I'm Boss Mode, and this has been the Return of the Ninja Looter. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Subscribe now to MMO Madness, Behind the Troll Mask, sponsored by Boss Mode Fashion, because even if your DPS is trash, your outfit doesn't have to be. Find your next respawn-ready outfit at bossmodefashion.com.
Got a grief story or redemption arc worth sharing? Email me at podcast@mmomadness.com. Your story might make it into a future episode. And hey, please be sure to like, share, comment, and support the show wherever you listen. Your feedback keeps the madness going. This is Boss Mode out.